Welcome to this explainer. Look, voting is literally the ultimate way to make your voice heard in our democracy. But before you can actually cast that ballot, you have to get through the administrative gateway first, right? Today, we're unpacking exactly what you need to do to secure your vote in South Dakota for the 2026 elections. We're breaking down the official rules, those hard deadlines, and some brand new, absolutely crucial legal requirements you need to know to make sure your voice is counted.
Okay, so let's kick this explainer off with literally the most common question we get from new residents and first-time voters. Hey, can I just quickly handle this online? I mean, in our digital age, we do pretty much everything from our smartphones, right? So it's a totally natural assumption to make.
Well, to save you some time and a whole lot of potential frustration, the answer is a definitive no. South Dakota does not permit online voter registration. No apps, no quick web forms. And heads up, it also doesn't allow same-day registration at the polls. To get on the voter rolls here, you gotta kick it old school. We're talking a physical paper form and a real wet ink signature. Since there are absolutely no digital shortcuts, we're gonna walk through exactly how to do this the right way.
Here is our roadmap for today. 1. The 2026 election timeline. 2. Who is eligible. 3. New citizenship proof rules. 4. How to actually register. And 5. Voting and acceptable IDs.
Section 1, the 2026 election timeline. Let's start with the hard deadlines you are up against. In South Dakota, your registration form actually has to be received by your county auditor exactly 15 days before any election. Period. For 2026, that makes May 18th your absolute cutoff for the June primary and October 19th your absolute deadline for the November general election. Also, keep in mind early absentee voting kicks off way in advance, mid-April for the primary and mid-September for the general. So honestly, the earlier you get this sorted out, the better.
Moving right along to Section 2, who is eligible?
Before you print out any forms, we've got to make sure you meet the legal baseline. You have to be a U.S. citizen and a South Dakota resident for at least 30 consecutive days. You also need to be 18 by the next election. Though actually, fun fact, if you know a 17-year-old who will turn 18 by the general election, they can totally submit their registration early. Finally, you cannot be currently serving a felony sentence in an adult penitentiary, and you can't have been judged mentally incompetent by a court.
All right, Section 3, New Citizenship Proof Rules.
Now this is a major legal update, and it's super important for new registrants. Thanks to a new law called SB 175, kicking in on March 26, 2026, you can't just check a box affirming your citizenship anymore. Nope, you actually have to present physical, documentary proof of your U.S. citizenship to the auditor. This is a massive shift in how the process works.
So what actually counts as proof? You just need one of these, but it is strictly mandatory. A South Dakota driver's license issued after July 1st, 2025, or an out-of-state ID that verifies citizenship, a tribal ID, a photocopy of your U.S. passport, your official birth certificate, or a certificate of naturalization.
But here is the real kicker. What happens if you forget to include that proof? Well, they don't toss your registration completely, but you get downgraded, basically to a federal-only voter. That means you can only vote for federal races, like president, senate, or house. You are totally locked out of voting for your state legislature, your governor, or those local county offices that actually impact your day-to-day life the most. Which brings us to Section 4, how to actually register.
Let's talk about the exact physical steps so you get that full ballot. First, grab the fillable PDF voter registration form from the Secretary of State's portal and print it. Fill in your exact legal name, date of birth, and either your South Dakota ID number or the last four of your Social Security number. You absolutely need a physical residential address. If you use a P.O. box without a physical description of where you live, you're getting that federal-only label. Then, sign it with a real pen, wet ink. Finally, mail it or hand-deliver it to your county auditor along with your proof of citizenship. Remember, no faxing, no emailing, and no power of attorney.
And please, take that wet ink signature seriously. By signing, you are swearing an oath under penalty of perjury that everything is true. Violating that isn't just a tiny mistake. It's literally a felony carrying up to 2 years in prison and a $4,000 fine. So accuracy is absolutely paramount.
Finally, Section 5, Voting and Acceptable IDs. Okay, so you did the paperwork, proved your citizenship, and you are officially registered. What happens on Election Day? South Dakota requires a valid photo ID to vote in person. Your standard driver's license is perfect, but a passport, military ID, tribal ID, or even a current student ID from an accredited South Dakota school works too. And here's a totally wild, but super helpful detail. Even if your ID happens to be completely expired, it is still legally accepted at the polls for the sole purpose of voting.
But hey, we're all human, right? If you show up and realize you left your wallet on the kitchen counter, don't panic and definitely don't drive away. You can just sign a personal identification affidavit right there at the polling place. You'll sign it under penalty of perjury, swearing to who you are, and you will still be allowed to cast a regular ballot.
So the big question is, are you ready for 2026? I highly encourage you to go check the voter information portal today to verify your status. It takes literally seconds and gives you total peace of mind. And as a quick mandatory disclaimer for all of our explainers, always make sure to verify these procedures independently on the official South Dakota Secretary of State's website or with your local auditor, because election rules can and do change over time. But looking at all these new mandates, the physical proof of citizenship, the strict bans on digital registration, it really leaves us with something to think about. Are these strict administrative gateways absolutely crucial for protecting election integrity, or are they simply building a higher, more complicated wall around the ballot box? Get your documents in order, make sure your voice is heard, and we will see you next time.